What's going on? We back, Goodfellas Sports TV, talking about the Anthony Joshua 2-year fight plan. 4 fights. 4 fights I think he's going to have in the next 2 years. We know Anthony Joshua has been took into a pay-per-view star over there in the UK. So now he's only fighting 2 times a year. I believe that's hurting his development, man. I think it's making him plateau. And now it seems like his skill level and his physical ability is on the downslide because, his experience then went down from fighting more than twice a year to fighting, just twice a year. Whatever he was fighting before, 3-4 times a year. And you see that in a boxing more overall, that a lot of these prospects, other than with Top Rank does the best with the prospects, you know what I'm saying? They continue to fight multiple times a year, and, they keep them busy early on. Now you're seeing, prospects might stay busy the first two years or a year and a half, and now the activity level is dropping off from maybe 5, 6, 7, 8 fights a year, 5, 4, 3 fights a year. And these are young fighters that should be really building the base of their resume early on. Joshua's just that. He's a guy that's now, who still should be fighting 4 times a year. Now, the financials and obviously the preparation for pay-per-view takes 6 months to build, according to Floyd Mayweather. He's fighting 2 times a year. That's unfortunate because I think he would be a better fighter if he was more active. He still needs to get experience level up, fighting any and everybody, even if it's fighting 2 tomato cans and 2 world championship type fights. He needs to hone his skills like Wilder. Wilder has 30, 40 fights because Wilder's fighting, 6, 7 times a year maybe, early on because he didn't have that amateur experience, that deep amateur experience like Anthony Joshua, and eventually, it came together where he reached his potential, potential that, people knew he had some upside, but he bust through the upside potential that we thought he had and went to another level. Nobody watching Wilder early on, even with the Malik Scott fight, thought he would be a world champion or world title holder, excuse me. But, that's on Team Joshua, Eddie Hearn and Barry Hearn. I think they hurting his development as a fighter, and now he's on the downtrend. And that's just, what it is. And it's unfortunate, but I think the next, 4 fights, we're going to talk about the 2-year fight plan, the 4 fight plans in 2 years for him, is that obviously the biggest elephant in the room is, there's no elephant in the room here. We know he's fighting Derek Chisora or Dillian White, and everybody think Dillian White has gotten better. Derek Chisora took some lumps on the head since then. Seems like he's downtrending. Dillian White is way better fighter than he was when he first fought Derek Chisora a couple years ago. We all know that. That's no secret in the room. So most people expect Dillian White to win that fight. So it'll be a rematch between Dillian White and AJ. And I think most people will make the case that Dillian White has improved just as much as AJ since they fought, if not more. Now, is that enough to get him to win a fight versus AJ? I don't know. I think that's a dangerous, close fight for Anthony Joshua. Okay. Anthony Joshua just did an article about Deontay Wilder, which I said I'm done really talking about that, but I squeezed it in, saying that he need to get the negotiations done. That ain't his problem. Basically, I guess the negotiations between Matchroom, Eddie Hearn, Barry, and Deontay Wilder, and said, or he gonna lose his spot April 13th. Obviously, Wilder don't even care about the April 13th fight. He's focusing on December 1st versus Tyson Fury. AJ still think he dictating things. Eddie must have hit him up on the phone, said you gotta say something about Wilder. Guess they're irrelevant. Or, to make people think we're going to get that Wilder fight in April. Because he's been promising that Wilder fight in April. And it ain't going to happen. Everybody know it. It ain't going to happen. But people in the UK seem to think it may still happen. Some of the fans, casual fans. But I'll squeeze that in real quick. But, yeah, we know it's going to be Dillian White. Okay? Or Chisora. But we expect Dillian White to win. And I think that's a dangerous fight for him. That might be the most dangerous fight out of the 4 fights because Dillian White has improved a lot. Dillian White is a good body puncher. Dillian White gave him a good run for his money his first fight. And I think that fight with Dillian White the first time for AJ. I think that gave AJ confidence. I think it got him to the next level, and started to believe he can, win a title and compete with Vladimir Klitschko. I think that was a confidence building fight. I think it was a next level type of fight for AJ. I think it took him to the next level from being a prospect to a contender. And I think Dillian White bounced back fine from that. Remember, Dillian White had a shoulder injury. He was piecing AJ up. He showed that he had a lot of dog in him. You know what I'm saying? AJ showed that he had some resilience in that fight, but it was more of Dillian White with the shoulder injury, still banging it out. He had a lot of dog in him. So it don't seem like AJ has the beast in him or the dog in him of recent note that Dillian White has in him. Okay? And, he's a very, very game fighter. I think that fight got an opportunity to be an upset in Dillian White's favor. I think that's one of 2 fights that could be upset. I think later, about October 2019, I think he takes on Puev for his IBF mandatory. I didn't watch Puev versus Hifi Fury, but I understand Hifi Fury shit the bed. That would have been a nice domestic fight for AJ, especially if Tyson Fury beats Deontay Wilder. Then if he could beat the little cousin, and then could have set up a big fight with the big cousin, Tyson Fury. But Puev handled his business at home in Bulgaria. And now, he gets a shot at AJ. They're supposed to fight, last October? But Puev Puev had some management issues and said he wasn't healthy enough to fight, but he was trying to run his management and promotional contract out, from what I understand. But, I'm not looking forward to that fight. I expect Anthony Joshua to do what he do to most old men and knock his dick in the dirt, all right? I think he's going to beat the crap out of Puev. You know what I'm saying? I don't think it's going to be competitive. Puev older. I expect Anthony Joshua to buzzsaw straight through Broadsworth Puev, man. But at the end of the day, Puev going to get that bag before he retire. And, you never know. Stranger things has happened, Maybe it's Dillian White versus Puev. Maybe Dillian White beat AJ. Maybe Dillian White and AJ rematch, and then Puev push to 2020. It's a lot of things, but they don't expect Dillian White to be AJ, okay? So AJ is going to buzz through Broadsworth Puev. Now we talking about 2020, okay? 2020. And, I think it's between either Miller or Usyk. I'm going to go ahead and say Usyk gets that fight first. I'm going to say he fights Usyk in the UK. I think Usyk will handle Tony Bellew. I think he's going to get some fights on heavyweight up under his belt. Nothing too serious, nothing too dangerous early on. I think after, 2019, he gets a couple fights at welterweight, a few fights at heavyweight, if Andre Ward don't come back and try to fight him. And then, I think by 2020, he'll be ready. I think he might get a fight with Joseph Parker. He might get a fight with Brian Jennings. He might can get a fight with Dillian White, if Dillian White don't take too much damage. Or if he's the second fight in 2020 for AJ, he probably definitely could squeeze a fight with Dillian White for a rematch for AJ. So I really think the first fight in 2020 is between AJ and Jarrell Miller. You know what I'm saying? Unless, I have to talk about that after this comment on Usyk. But, yeah, and I think Usyk has a hell of a chance to beat him. I think Dillian White and Usyk, out of the 4 fighters on the list, have the biggest chance at beating AJ. I think Usyk said he's been studying for a while. I think Usyk will make the proper adjustments. And I think he could beat AJ. I really do. I think he got the style, the footwork. I think AJ is continuing to decline for whatever reason it is. I think that decline will continue. I think Usyk can use his boxing ability and his skills to box up AJ. Obviously AJ may strap his nuts on and just start bullying Usyk like Tyson Fury did Steve Cunningham, and start making it an ugly, ugly dog fight. But yeah, I think that's a crazy competitive fight, and I think I would put some money on Usyk if he looks good at heavyweight. You know what I'm saying? Versus the opponents they put him in front of. You never know. You can see a rematch between Usyk and Joe Joyce at heavyweight. You never know. And Usyk really beat the crap out of Joe Joyce a while ago in the World Series of Boxing, World Super Series of Boxing, or the World Series of Boxing, whatever it is, the pro-am little pro tournament they got. But I think either Jarrell Miller gonna be his introduction to America I think Miller don't want to go to Brooklyn. As long as Miller continues to win, I think he continues to carefully pick his opponents. I think he's gonna continue to carry his regular WBA title, and you know, I think he's gonna get AJ. I think they're gonna fight AJ in New York, Barclays Center, Madison Square, probably Madison Square Garden, because PBC not gonna let him in the Barclays Center no more. So you know, I think AJ should be able to handle Miller. Miller do have stamina, does have a hell of a chin. If he can punch, he probably can get AJ. You know, I think he got the third best chance to get AJ out of here. You know, if he could punch, you know, he do got stamina. He do can punch. He can got some good hand speed. He do got some strength. You know, but I just don't think he can punch hard enough. But you know, if he can bring AJ to America, because he said he ain't going overseas, he can have a big opportunity to score an upset, and they can rob AJ on the cards. That junk would be hilarious. Eddie Hearn would be crying, man. But yeah, man. Yeah, it'd be very, very interesting. I think that's his 2-year, 4-fight plan. You know, unless, that's what I was gonna say after the Usyk comment, unless Deontay Wilder and him get their minds right, or AJ get his mind right, and it's a huge demand for Wilder. The fans stop coming to see him in the UK. His numbers started to drop. The ticket sales started to drop. And they don't really pay to see him until he fights Wilder. That's the only way he fights Wilder before the end. And I think he's trying to age Wilder out, similar to what other fighters done in the past. And he's trying to get every dollar scraped out of the UK and squeeze it all out of there before he fights him. But don't forget, we on Facebook. We on Twitter again. Both links in the description. You can DM me, at me, tweet me, however you want to do it. Video requests, questions, or whatever it may be. You want to make a donation, that link's in the description as well. And my email is there as well. You wonder where the instrumentals come from in the beginning of the video, that link's in the description as well. Y'all know what the business is. One time for one time. We gone.